everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and cover 5 niche fragrances for beginners looking to get into niche fragrances. The purpose of this video really is to help people kind of get a foothold within the niche fragrance line. It's a question that I hear many times. It's people have been collecting designer fragrances. They've got a sizable connection or collection, and they start hearing about niche fragrances that are a little bit more expensive generally, fragrances that smell a little bit more unique. They want to be really smelling unique, and they want to know how to get a foothold into this kind of realm and world. So that's what this list is. It's 5 fragrance houses that you can go ahead and start with that'll really give you a good idea of what niche fragrances are and how to kind of go about, navigating the niche fragrance world. So this isn't a top 5 niche fragrances, best niche houses or anything like that. It really is 5 fragrance houses for beginners specifically so that they can go ahead and get into the niche world. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first fragrance house that I'm going to go ahead and mention is the House of Imaginary Authors. Now, the Imaginary Authors house is a house that has steadily grown on me, and there's a reason for it. They have a lot of wide-ranging scents that, they're definitely not mainstream, but at the same time, they're not too way out there. They're really a good segue into the niche world. Their fragrances are reasonably priced. For a 50 milliliter, it'll run you about $95, which is generally just slightly more expensive than some of the designer houses that you're going to come across. Now, they also have a sample set for $38, which gives you a wide breadth of their fragrance line and fragrances. But if I were to suggest 3 fragrances specifically that I would have you look at, I would look at A City on Fire, I would look at Every Storm a Serenade, and I would look at my personal favorite, Slow Explosions. Look at those 3 fragrances and you should be fine. And if you're not interested in purchasing the full amount, I would suggest go for the travel size. It's a little bit cheaper. It's a 14 milliliter and that'll run you $38 as well. So that's pretty much it. So the first one, Imaginary Authors, is a house that you should look at. Now, the next fragrance house you want to go ahead and take a look at is the House of Olfactive Studios. Now, this is a French perfumery house that was recently, or not, I wouldn't say recently started, but started relatively kind of recently. Anyways, there are 3 main fragrances from this house that you want to definitely check out. Chambre Noir, which is a darker fragrance, Still Life, which is a lighter fragrance, and Indigo, which is an interesting fragrance at that. But those 3 fragrances are definitely one to check out. Now, this house is respectively priced. I'd say for the 100 milliliter, you're going to pay roughly $195, and for a 50 milliliter, you're going to run roughly $145. But they do offer samples. There are some samples that you can go ahead and purchase for this fragrance from this fragrance house, so go ahead and check that out. So house number 2 is Olfactive Studios. Now, house number 3 is a house with a huge collection. It's Atelier Cologne. Now, Atelier Cologne started off as really a niche house that was truly niche in that it was very difficult to actually find, and a lot of times you had to go directly to the house itself. But now, they've since expanded. They're in Sephora now, and you can find it a lot easier, which is another reason I have this one on the list. In terms of sheer accessibility, it's there. But these fragrances that are, it has such a wide range of fragrances that are in this house that you can find light fragrances, dark fragrances, fragrances that are easy to wear, fragrances that are a little bit harder to wear, unique fragrances all over. And in general, it is very well priced as well on top of that. Now, 3 fragrances that you want to look for from this house. Look at Orange Sanguine, look at Bois Blancs, and look at Vetiver Fatale. Those are 3 fragrances that have a nice range of fragrances. Orange Sanguine in particular, it's a scent that smells like orange juice. It's pretty interesting, but go ahead and give these fragrances out a try, and they do have some very nice discovery scents that have travel sizes and stuff like that in it. So go ahead, take a look at those discovery scents and see what you like for it. So the third one on the list, Atelier Cologne. Now, the 4th one on the list, this is one that's definitely well known within the fragrance community. And the last 2, while are definitely more expensive than the previous 3 that I've mentioned. The first one I'm going to go ahead and bring up is the House of Creed. Now, Creed is probably one of the most quintessential niche houses you're ever going to find out there. What they specialize in is light fragrances. They do fresh, light fragrances to the extreme, and they do it really, really, really well. The biggest problem with it it's really, really, really expensive. So for the standard 4-ounce bottle that you're going to see out there for it, you're going to pay $455. So this is definitely an expensive house, but the flip side of that is, in my opinion, they do fresh fragrances the best out of any house. Pound for pound, they do fresh fragrances the best out of any house. Some, scents that you actually want to take a look at when you look at the House of Creed are Aventus. This is talked about to death within the fragrance community. As you learn more and more, you'll notice, and if you haven't already heard of it, it is a scent that is heavily cloned. Other fragrances houses have tried to make their own versions. Obviously, none are as good as the original Aventus, but they're all making attempts. So Aventus, it's nice pineapple, freshy scent. Take a look at that one. Next one on the list is a classic that has also been heavily copied, and that is Green Irish Tweed. Davidoff's Cool Water smells very similar to it if you're looking for a type of a scent. So imagine a very fresh version of Davidoff's Cool Water if I'm to simplify things. And finally, you want to also take a look at Millésime Imperial, which is another cloned fragrance like crazy. Fantastic in that regards. It's got watermelon, kind of like a sea salty type of a vibe to it, so it's one that you definitely want to take a look at. So take a look at those three, but up and down the line, there are many scents within that line that are just excellent on that factor. You got, original vetiver, the original Santal. There are just so many scents within that line that are just fantastic on that matter. Again, problem is they are expensive, so take a grain of salt with it, if you will. Now, if you can get your hands on samples, I would highly suggest trying to get your hands on samples because they are expensive. All right, so that's pretty much it. Solid house overall is Creed. And finally, we're moving on to our last house. The house is Tom Ford, specifically their exclusive line, or private blend is what they call it. Now, the private blend line, for a 100 milliliter bottle, you're going to pay roughly $315, I believe. So it is a little bit more, actually it is not a little bit, it is more expensive than your traditional fragrances that are out there. What they do specifically really well are dark fragrances. Now they have the Azure line, the lighter line out there, but I'm specifically referring to the dark fragrance line. 3 dark fragrances that you want to look at from Tom Ford. Tobacco Vanille, it's a very opulent tobacco and vanilla fragrance. That you also want to look at Tuscan Leather, which is a animalistic leather fragrance. And finally, you want to look at Oud Wood, which is a darker, oudy, woody scent that really sits close to the skin and really smells finally fantastic. So those are 3 dark fragrances and 3 fragrances from the house of Tom Ford that you definitely want to check out when diving into niche. So yeah, definitely Tom Ford, the private blend line. So that pretty much concludes my list. Those 5 fragrance houses are definitely some great houses that you can go ahead and check out if you're a beginner to the niche house. For some of my more seasoned viewers, go ahead and leave a note down below and suggest some houses and some fragrances from those houses that are great kind of intro to niche scents that you think would be good. And if you feel like it, put the reason why you think it would be good. But that's pretty much it. I hope this video helps, and I hope it's been helpful to you. So thank you guys, take care of yourselves, and you guys have a great day.